The Supreme Court has called this a moment of national catharsis, saying that this incident has shocked the conscience of the country, shocked the conscience of the nation, and has called for the apex court to in fact look into and dive into the issue of security and safety of medical professionals and their working conditions. Those are the broad thoughts, the broad strokes of its submissions, its observations that the apex court made today as a part of the suo motu proceedings in the RG Kar rape and murder case. So what are these observations, guidance, directions about the way forward? We'll try to answer some of those questions. First up, the apex court raised questions on the conduct of the West Bengal government and the hospital administration, asking of the West Bengal government why it took several hours to register a simple FIR, noting that the FIR was registered at 11:45 p.m. in the night, asking why it took so much time to register a simple FIR. Also asking, in fact, citing allegations against the principal of the administration of the hospital as to why there was an effort being made to pass off this entire incident as a case of suicide, asking why the parents were not allowed access to the body and as to why the cremation process was fast-tracked. Questions that are awaiting answers, questions that have been put across to the West Bengal government and the hospital administration. But this is an opportunity, the Supreme Court said, the CJI said, is in fact to dwell on the larger issue, the institutional issue, one of safety and security of medical professionals, and second, their working conditions. To that end, the Supreme Court has constituted a national task force. It is manned by as many as 9 experts, 9 doctors from the medical fraternity, and importantly, they've been given the twin mandate. The two-sided mandate is, number one, to look at issues of safety and security. Here, the Supreme Court has very clearly listed out aspects, the mandate of this committee. The Supreme Court has said that the NTF will now be required to look into, are there police personnel, are there security personnel deployed, is there a police post at the hospital in question, is the security arrangement commensurate to the size of the hospital, are there CCTV cameras, is there a screening mechanism for people coming inside the hospital premises, for weapons, is there an X-ray mechanism that has been deployed across these medical facilities. These are some of the questions, but that's only one side of the equation. The other side is working conditions. The apex court expressed shock as to how some of the medical interns are given shifts lasting as long as 36 hours. And here the Supreme Court said that there is an infrastructural deficit noticed by the apex court. Not enough duty rooms, not enough rest areas, not enough bathrooms for women and for men. There is no distinction there, and that no drinking water facilities, and that this is something that adds to the burden of the medical professionals and seriously needs to be addressed. So to that count, this twin mandate has been given to the NTF. The Supreme Court asking the NTF to come back with its initial interim report within 3 weeks and the final report within 2 months. To that end, the apex court has also asked the Cabinet Secretary, the Home Secretary and the Health Secretary to provide all necessary assistance to the NTF in arriving and meeting this timeline of 3 weeks and 2 months to arrive at their recommendations. Not just that, the Supreme Court has also directed the CBI to give its status report. The CBI has to give its status report by Thursday, that's August 22nd. Meanwhile, the West Bengal government has also been asked to give its status report on the investigation into the case of vandalization. And speaking of the case of West Bengal government, again the apex court was critical as to how this situation was managed, why the police was not prepared, or why the law and order situation was not dealt with, and that is something that the apex court has in fact asked the West Bengal government to reply on. With respect to this interim arrangement as to what happens in the interim, what happens right now until the next date of hearing? Well, to begin with, number one, the Supreme Court has allowed the center's prayer that CISF personnel are to be deployed at the location to ensure safety and security of the personnel there, of the medical personnel. So that's as far as the security arrangement is concerned. On the other issue of what happens for the doctors calling a strike, on that count, the apex court has issued an appeal to the medical fraternity saying that it is seized of the matter, it will look at resolving all the issues, that it will invite comments and stakeholders to give suggestions on the way forward, but that calling a strike is not the answer. It has an undue impact as far as the marginalized community is concerned, and that is something that should be avoided, and therefore the apex court issuing an appeal for medical practitioners to return back to their practice, to return to the hospitals. So with that in mind, the apex court now listing the matter for August 27, and that's perhaps when we can expect clarity on the way forward.
For more news and updates, all you need to do is follow CNBC TV 18 on all of our digital platforms.